Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another Training Tuesday. As the title said, we're going to talk about busking. This is actually a series we have for the next, I believe, 3 weeks. So this week, next week, and the following. We're just going to kind of go over things that might help you as summer festivals start ramping up, and you guys might need a little bit of help making your show happen in a hurry. So today, we're going to talk about what we can do with these playbacks, show you some tricks, some cool things that we can do to just help get up and running quickly. To do that, I have a nice little festival rig here. Spot beam wash, some LEDs, some park cans. We're going to mainly focus on the spot beam wash aspect of it, but those groups can be anything you want. And we're going to just build a simple little punt show. The hope is, obviously, if you're, a headliner or an opener for the headliner, you got some time, you get some dark time, you get to do your things, but sometimes you don't get that. If you're a, random act in the middle of the day and you just need to make the lights blink, or you got called into this random thing with a bunch of bands and you're the house LD and most of them don't have their own guys, you're going to have to come up with something. So what I'm going to show you today is going to be kind of down and dirty. Just get something up, make the lights flash, be able to do some cool stuff real simply. We're not going to focus too much on the execute screen. We will show you some stuff with the busking shortcut, really cool stuff. That's going to be for Brett next week. So make sure you come back next week and check that out. And then the third topic should be James, from what I remember, and he's going to talk about cloning and morphing, which is very important if you're flipping rigs a lot. All right, so let's get started. There is a bunch of stuff already in this show. We're going to pretend like this isn't here mostly. We would just have our spots, our beams, our washes, really, and our front lights. So if you're going to build groups, build as many as you have time to build. But the one group I would recommend you should take the time to build, even if you're in a hurry, is all of your fixtures in the correct order. So if we look at this, we can see it on the grid a little bit easier. This is all stage order, so it's my spots, my beams, and my washes. All right there. And what I've done is I've gone through and I've selected them in some sort of logical order that goes left to right. And that's the selection order stored in the group. The reason I recommend doing that is because it makes it very easy to simply apply effects as well as use things like odd and even to be able to make more groups even quicker. Now, generally we would split our rig up into some sort of logical thing, whether it's odd and even, spots, beams, washes, groups of fours. That's up to you and your rig and how it's laid out and how you want to control it. Keep in mind though, when it comes to playbacks, which is the focus of today, that we only got 10 on most of the consoles. We do have the execute screen. We have other ways of putting stuff in other places, but as far as tactile physical handles to play with, we only got 10. So you got to be kind of smart about how you use them. So long before the execute screen, soft palettes, regions, and all that stuff were a thing, I'm going to show you how I would have set up a simple just busking show for a party or a band or even a nightclub by doing exactly that. So first thing I would always do is I would always have my front light. So in this case, we have our Vipers and our Sharpies. Turn those guys on. And generally what I would do is I would make a good wash position. I would go in here and I would zoom those lights appropriately. So basically just make a nice clean stage wash. So might even play with the levels a little bit. In this case, the Sharpies seem a little hot to me. So there you go. Get a nice good side light. And then what I would do is I would make a stack that had a handful of colors for my front light here, and the fader would control intensity. Now we have a really cool trick for that. If we grab these two groups and we select our colors, we can say copy here. That's going to instantly make a stack with all of the colors for the groups you have selected. Now it's only colors right now. If we look at these cues, just colors. So I need to get the rest of my fixtures in there. I did locate, so I do have a bit of a mess in the programmer, but that's fine. I do want everything in there except for color. So I can use my record filters by hitting Shift Record. And what I'm going to say is I want intensity, position, beam, and let's say we have blades if we had shuttering fixtures in there. And we're going to record just those things. We're going to merge them here, and we're going to merge them into the entire cue stack. Once we clear out, we should have all of that information for our front lights in there. Of course, we're in our standard programming mode, so we're going to come in here and say cue timing, so it's not a chase. And now I simply have a handle with all the colors of my front light. And I can choose those whenever I want. If I want them to fade, I can easily just come in here and maybe put a 1.5 second fade. Now I get a little bit nicer transition. And now the front light, so everybody can see the band, is covered. Done. Easy. Name. And we can do the same with the rest of our rig. Again, it's up to you how you cut up your rig. In this case, I do have an odd and an even group that I've already made. If you don't have those already made, again, the reason I said it's great to build this group that has all your fixtures in it is because I can very easily now, especially with some of the newest software, I can come in here and I can go odd even. I can say pair so it's symmetrical, and I can say odd. And I can simply record that as a group. Tap it again, record. There's my groups. So now I have my odd and my even groups made in one shot. I don't have to go through here and pick this one, skip that one, pick this one, skip that one, pick this one. I don't have to deal with that. Because I've made my one good whole group, I can chop it up very easily using odd and even, things like that, pair and such. So now that I have those, the new software will make these linked groups. It's kind of hard to see because I have this organized in small boxes. This was built for a 500, but it says 24L on each of these. What that means is when I get to the cloning and morphing that James is going to talk about in a few weeks, if I change this group and I change its selection order, these two groups will then adapt and reapply their math to that. Kind of cool. That's a very new feature for linked groups. Really cool. But now I can continue on with these and I can do the exact same thing. So I can grab my odds, select my colors, copy them here. I can grab my evens, select my colors, copy them here. And then I can put whatever I want in here. Generally, I would put intensity. Usually I will put a basic position in there. So I will do the same thing. We'll just locate these guys. I'll put them in a basic low fan out. I'll put their zoom to low just so it's a little bit easier to see them, or zoom narrow. And yeah, so same thing. I don't want color. I have color in here. So again, I'll use my record filters to quickly deal with that. So intensity, position, beam, again, blades. We want them. We'll say merge those here. We'll do it for the entire Q stack. Exact same thing. We'll locate those. We'll put them in a basic position. We'll zoom them narrow. Use our filters. Intensity, position, beam, blades, merge here. Yeah. Just like that. Now I have my A and my B for my rig. So if I wanted a blue and amber look, there you go. I got my blue and my amber. Because I have a basic position, it means if I clear the program or anything at any time, it'll go back to a decent position. I can flash. Now, right now, these are going to reset, which is probably not what I want. I probably don't want them to turn off, so this gets into the playback options. I can go into the playback options for these playbacks. We'll say fader releases stack, no. We'll go to activate and release and say release resets the first step, no. We'll go to buttons and we'll say flash releases stack, no. That way the stacks always stay on. I don't have to worry about going to a dark stage on accident. And what I can do with these is I can store this as a favorite. So I can go up here, I can say view favorites, I can record, and we can call this color stack. What that means is I can now pop in here, tell that's a color stack, pop in here, tell that it's a color stack. That's going to set up all of those options. So now you see they don't release. And even if I were to release them for any reason, they're going to come back on at the exact same color they were already in. That makes dealing with this and making sure you don't go back to open white, go back to a full stage, really, really easy. So there's the basics of just turning the lights on and getting them in a spot. What I might do next is I might make a stack that is strictly positions for all of those lights. So I can either grab my staged order or I can grab all of these. It doesn't really matter which way I do it. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to grab all these. I'm going to copy them here. Grab all these. I'm going to copy them here. Grab all these and copy them here. There's all of my positions in one stack. Nice and simple. We can do the same thing because we want the stack built the same. So we'll go to view options, view favorites. That becomes the color stack default. So again, it won't release. And now I can really quickly call up different positions. Whenever I want, I can pop into the queue stack. They go to queue and jump straight to it. So just there, I now have position, I have color, I have everything I need, and I've only used 4 faders. Very, very, very efficient. The rest of these faders, I can put some effects on, I can put some other things on. I can also make them masters for various things as we go through. So say I wanted to have a position effect. If you have no time, there's a cool little cheat we used to use, and some people still do, which is creating one effect, but then creating 2 masters to control it. So if we grab all our fixtures, we're gonna go to effects. We're gonna simply add a circle effect. Now we can adjust this circle effect to make it as awesome or not as we want it. So I'm gonna go symmetrical. I'm gonna leave the size kind of large because of what we're gonna do next. Yeah, that kind of works. A nice circle effect. Don't really care about the speed right now, but I will come over here and I will say Speedmaster is going to be Speedmaster 2. So this queue is only going to have an effect. So no levels at all, just the effect. We'll hit record and we'll put this here. Call this move effects. And then in here, we're going to play with those playback options a bit more. We're going to go to view options. We can go to I can find my buttons here. Here we go. Fader. We can say fader controls effect speed. Makes that real easy. Now, if I activate it, I have speed control of it. We'll turn off HTTP because we don't need that. So you see I can slow that right down or I can speed it up. That's why I left it kind of fast. This is the older way of dealing with speeds. I did add a speed master. We'll talk about that in a minute. That is a second option. If, say, you were running this from the execute screen. And then what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to make 2 masters here. So I'm going to grab the same group. We're going to record it here. It's going to become an intensity master by default, but we're going to change that. We're going to come in here and we're going to call this. Oops, backspace too far. Getting button happy. Let's actually set the name on that. We'll blank it out. We'll call it and size. This one out. We'll call it built size. And then we'll come in here and what we're going to say in function, since it is a master, we're going to say is an intensity master. No. We're going to say is a size master. Yes. Group attribute for this one will strictly be pan. And then in the other one here, we're going to say intensity master no, size master yes, and group attribute built. What this allows me to do now is with these masters, of course, I can stop the effect. I can have just a pan effect. I can have just a tilt effect. I can have an oval type effect, or I can have a full circle effect. So when I'm in a hurry, I can't spend a bunch of time building a bunch of effects, but I can build one effect and have a lot of control over how that works. And since these only have the effect in them, it means that I can come in here and if I change my position, the center of my effect works, or center of my effect changes. Then I have it in the crowd. They get to a big part of the song, I can go to Q and it goes up. So I have a lot of flexibility just from that one effect that I wrote. The rest of these you can use for various things. If we wanted to do the Speedmaster thing, we could throw a Speedmaster here and have tap control of this effect. So we could easily say record here. Go to view options. Again, in function. We'll say is a Speedmaster. Yes, it's going to be Speedmaster 2. And now you see I have Speedmaster control of my effect. I have my tap to time. Probably don't want that to release. Fix that real fast. Oh. There's my size and my speed. And then if I want to release it, sometimes I'll make the flash button toggle. So we can come in here, say buttons, flash toggles. Now I have an on-off switch for my effect. I could do the same with intensity effects. We can also stack effects. So if I had a series of intensity effects that I wanted to write, I could come in here. We'll just simply add an effect. We'll go any attribute. We'll do a pulse on dimmer. There's our effect. Let's stop so we can see it. Come in here and adjust this effect accordingly. Maybe we do our center in, center out. We do 50% that. So there's a nice rollout. We can record that here. Call that rollout. And without clearing the programmer, I could sit here and play with these numbers. So maybe we do 4 parts. We do 2 segments. Now I have a little bit different effect. For that. 2x4. Even if I want to change the effect, I can come up top here and say change effect, any attribute. Maybe we do ramp down. Do about 6s and nones. There we go. We'll record this. So you just keep stacking effects real fast. Again, it doesn't take much time. We can just keep changing those numbers and keep tweaking that one effect to make it look a little differently. And now I have multiple effects I can choose from. Now, generally speaking, I'd want these to be minus effects, or I could leave them as plus effects. So if we make these minus, they're going to subtract, which means I have control of the effect here. If I make them plus effects, though, it gives me some interesting things I can do. I can leave the effect up, and if I was to pull half the rig out, you see that just that half of the rig is now chasing. If I pull both of them out, there's my full effect. So I can really control A and B part of my rig. Keep going with that. You can build some color effects the same way. You can build all sorts of different stuff. You can put your things like your hazer and such here. There's a lot of interesting options here. Say I just wanted a simple flyout for, say, my spots. I could come in here, go to position, high fan out, record that to a playback. And again, in the playback options, I have different options. What I could say is the fader controls LTP channels, not HTP channels, because there's only tilt and pan and tilt in there. It's only LTP. And maybe I want it to stop position effects. So I can also come in here and say fader blocks effects on LTP channels. Yes. Now, if I have my circle effect running and I want to fly those lights out, as I bring this up, it's not only going to fly the lights out, but it's going to stop the effect. Now I have my big dramatic in your face moment for the crowd. Bring it back down. Out. So lots of cool stuff you can do here in a really, really big hurry. I could keep rambling on for hours with all the stuff we can make happen without ever even touching the execute screen, just to make the show happen. Of course, the execute screen is there. It is something you can use. Brett will talk more about that next week. I think he's covering that part of it. But some really cool tips and tricks on being able to make stuff happen. Looking at the chat here from Ash. I don't know. He hasn't passed me any questions. I don't know if we have any questions. Yes, no? No questions. Oh, I must have done a good job then. Either that or nobody's paying attention to me. Cool. Well, take what we talked about today, about things like being able to quickly copy the palettes, being able to control your effects in various different ways, being able to simplify what you have control of to get multiple different looks out of one thing. And the last thing I'll leave you with is a very, very handy thing. If you were going to run this without the position or even without the colors in stacks, you could run it from the program, or you could run it with just palettes. Now, we've shown plenty of times before. Let me kill my effects here. Go. Turn those off. Let's turn this one off. There we go. Of course, we've shown before, and if you've been watching some of our live streams in the past, we know we can say we want a 3-second fade to green, and the lights will do it. That's a lot to type every time, and if you have a slow song where you're maybe doing a bunch of slow movements, I want a 3-second move to this position, 3-second move to that position, it can be kind of a pain. So you can go into Setup, View Settings, Playbacks, and you can find your crossfade master function. That's this guy over here in the master go area. And we can set him to be a busking rate master. He now becomes a handle from 0 to 10. You can see as I move his little statuses right here. So he's at 8 seconds, 5 seconds, so on. If I push that up and I just start picking palettes, so let's go to kind of a high one, 6 seconds. Every time I pick a palette, that transition's going to happen over that time. So if I hit a slow song, I'll just push this up, and now I can do these nice slow movements, slow fades, things like that. If I hit a fast song, now I can snap, get to my positions as fast as possible. And using this handle means you don't have to key in that time every single time. Just ride that fader, whether it's a fast song or a slow song, you get the fade or the transition that you want. This is also a programming tool if you need it. If you do record cues with this up at, say, 3 seconds, all of the cues would then have a 3-second fade. And that, again, just gives you more flexibility. So there's the quick version of how to deal with your faders. That's how I would do it. Of course, everybody programs differently. Do it what works best for you. And be sure you come back next week to check out Brett and soft palettes and all the cool execution stuff, because that's where the real power is. This is slamming it out with no time and not wanting to think about it. But if you spend a little bit of time in here building some stuff with some soft palettes, it makes a lot of this condensed down to a much more simple concept once you figure it out. So thank you, everybody, and hope to see you again soon.